Hey guys, thanks for tuning into this episode of the Gymnastics podcast. This week I'm joined by Kevin Penev, an Olympian and world and European finalist competing for Bulgaria, training in the US, who switched to compete for them in 2023. We'll talk about his training and growing up with not only a brother but parents involved in gymnastics who owned his training gym, and his experiences at those major championships. I hope you enjoy. Welcome to the Game of Gymnastics podcast. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for coming on. Today we've got a very special guest. He competes for Bulgaria. He's sort of like dual nationality, American, Bulgarian gymnast. Went to the Olympics in 2024 by qualifying through Worlds, and very successful gymnast, and I'm sure has a lot more to come. Most recently went to the Europeans and came fifth in the floor final, which was very impressive. Floor final was amazing to watch. But yes, so today we have Kevin Penev. How are you doing today, Kevin?
Very good. It's been a long week. A little tired, but overall pretty good.
Brilliant. So we'll start from the very beginning. What first got you into gymnastics?
So both my parents were gymnasts for Bulgaria, and I guess my brother, who's older than me, started gymnastics too, and I just feel like it was like a family thing. It ran in the family, so it was like a natural path for me to become a gymnast. And so my parents, they came from Bulgaria. They migrated from Bulgaria in the early 90s, and they created their own gym here in New York, where I live. And so basically I was born and raised in a gym, in a gym environment. And so, one thing led to another. When you're constantly in the gym, that's kind of how like my gymnastics journey started, was just by being in the gym all the time.
Nice. So do you think it helped having parents that were both involved in the sport and then also a brother who was involved as well?
Definitely. I mean, in terms of like my parents owning the gym itself, just being in that gym from that aspect. But then also having an older brother who obviously I lived with, grew up with, and saw him doing gymnastics. It's family, and you want to follow family, and you look up to family. So yeah, it definitely helped to have an older brother who was in the sport to guide me, to coach me, help me in every way possible. So yeah, it definitely helped having a whole family come from a gymnastics background.
Do you think it gave you a lot to live up to? Was there a bit of pressure there?
I think there was a little bit of pressure. Definitely towards the last couple years competing for Bulgaria, when that was like more of my like gymnastics like career highlight, competing at that level. Never competed at the senior level before Bulgaria. So I definitely feel like that there was a little bit of pressure there, because like, you're older, higher expectations, things like that.
What encouraged that change? Like what inspired that change from American to Bulgaria? Was it just that your parents were Bulgarian or competing for Bulgaria?
I didn't know what I wanted to do after I graduated college. I didn't know if I wanted to continue with gymnastics or not, and ultimately I decided to continue with gymnastics. And my older brother and my coach here, who's also Bulgarian, kind of like pitched the notion of representing Bulgaria. My older brother used to represent Bulgaria before he represented Team USA. So I feel like, or I felt like, making that switch would have allowed me to reconnect with my roots, just gain more international experience, meet new people, travel new places and things like that. And also to see my family, of course, because most of my family still lives there. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to give this an opportunity and try something new, something I've never done before. And it's been awesome. It's been an awesome journey since 2023 of February, I think. That's when I decided to represent Bulgaria. And it was an easy process to, I guess, like switch, because I used to represent Team USA at the junior level. But because I haven't competed in like some time internationally for Team USA, the transition, like by FIG to give me that green light to be able to represent Bulgaria was easy. Um, and yeah, it's been a really exciting journey ever since.
Nice. Yeah, I mean that was my next question. Like, what was it a challenge to switch? Obviously, you and your brother sort of switched at the same time because he was competing for Bulgaria, then went to compete for US, and then switched
Yeah.
back. Was it good having a sort of partner to do it at the same time with?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, Eddie and some of my friends and my coach and my family really did help me make that decision. And so I feel like ever since then, my brother and I have gotten a lot closer because we've been doing everything together. And we were just in the gym together, outside of the gym together. We were just doing everything together. So um, definitely, I feel like our bond has grown a lot. It's grown stronger. Um, and yeah, it was a smooth transition, definitely.
Nice. And without getting into like specifics, how was it felt competing for Bulgaria on the
Oh,
international
I don't
stage?
even like it was different because like I said, I represented Team USA one time and in 2017 in Yokohama in Japan. And that was cool. It was really cool because I was born and raised in America and it felt really cool to represent America. But then when I decided to compete for Bulgaria, competed my first competition in like a couple of years was the European Championships in Antalya in 2023. And so like that was my first international competition since 2017 at the senior elite level, and to represent, country where my parents were born in was definitely a different feeling, but it almost felt like the same, representing like America when I did a couple of years ago. Definitely had that pride to represent, my country. Um,
Nice.
but yeah, no, I definitely enjoyed it. Every time competing at that level, representing my home country, even though I wasn't born there, but it feels like definitely am 100% Bulgarian.
Like, it's still definitely a
Right,
part of you,
exactly.
like both your parents, and it's still your roots, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely.
Obviously, you did the Europeans, then you went to Worlds, and at Worlds, you qualified for the Olympics through the
Yep.
vault final. Um, can you talk about how that
Oh,
felt?
sure. So, you know, when I made that transition to compete for Bulgaria, my first competition, like I said, was European Championships, and I was very new into like the whole, like absolutely everything. For me, it was just like, let's hope that we can get our like documents, like our passports and all that stuff on time so that,
Yeah,
I can compete at European Championships. And, if I didn't
yeah,
get those documents in time, I would not have been able to compete at Europeans. And that was, the qualifier for Worlds. And if I didn't have that opportunity, and so forth, I would not have been able to go to the
yeah.
Olympics. But, by a little bit of luck, I was able to get my documents in time, and then was able to compete at the European Championships. And after that, I didn't know, or I didn't realize that I had qualified for European Championships. And I think I remember after the competition, my brother was like, "You were the, I think either the last or the second to last person to qualify in the all around for the year or for the world championships." And I was like, oh, okay, cool. That's like really exciting. Like I've never, like I didn't even know. Like I honestly, it was not a good competition at all. But what I got out of that was like, experience, and like this is your first time. Like go out there, have fun, enjoy it, take it all in. But then I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. Wow, we really qualified for Worlds. Like that's really cool. This is really exciting. Like now you just did your.
Hey guys, Winston here. I hope you're enjoying the episode so far. If you are, please do leave a like, subscribe, and leave a comment if you can. Also, if you want more gymnastic content from me, you can check out my Instagram at wpowell05 or my TikTok at winstonpowell5. Thank you, and let's get back to the episode. First international in 6 years, and it being a senior major, and it's the first time competing for Bulgaria. That's a lot to sort of handle, I suppose. And the fact that you managed to qualify is incredible. Like, even if it wasn't the best
Yeah,
competition.
no, I appreciate it. It was definitely a lot to absorb. I was really excited because I was like, okay, wow. I mean, this is a step forward in the right direction. Because like ultimately, like why I wanted to represent Bulgaria was like to give me an opportunity to qualify for the Olympic Games, and I just didn't know anything about the qualification procedures and stuff. And so now that I qualified, a couple weeks go on, and my brother, we were like really just looking at the rules on how to qualify for from worlds for the Olympics, and one
Mm.
of the ways was to make okay. So Bulgaria. Okay, let me take it back a little bit. Because
Yeah, go on.
Bulgaria didn't have a team that qualified for world championships, I went there as an individual, like representing Bulgaria, me and my one teammate. And so when you go and that you don't have a team, there are like two ways that you can qualify for the Olympics that year. And it was either to make the all around finals or to make event finals. And which was like really nice because like I was doing all around at the time. And so like, if you don't have like a good competition, like on a couple events, if you don't make the all around finals, you can, try to push event finals. And that's kind of what happened with me. Um, so when I went to go compete at Worlds, I was like, okay, our goal is to make the all around finals. If not, we can try to push floor and vault. I just feel like floor is like my strongest event, and vault might be a little bit of a challenge because I didn't have the strongest vaults, and there's like a lot of gymnasts doing like crazier vaults than me, so it's like very competitive. And so when I competed, I started on high bar, and I fell my first event, and that kind of was like, oh, all right, we're really gonna. This is how the competition's gonna go. And I
Yeah.
was so nervous because like I've never competed at such a big arena and like in that type of environment. I mean, like I was just trying to take it all in, but then there was that expectation of trying to qualify for the Olympics, and so like there was a lot of pressure that I wasn't like acknowledging, but because like I was trying to focus like in that moment just to do the best that I can do, but at the same time try to qualify for the Olympics, and then also enjoy the moment of competing at Worlds. Like there was so many gymnasts that I used to like look up to and that I aspired to be, and I'm like, oh wow, like now I'm competing with you and like against you to vie for a spot for a quota at the Olympic Games. So like there was a lot going on. Um, but yeah, so I started on a high bar, did not go that great. Um, then floor came around. I'm like, this could be a good event for me. Like, there's definitely a chance to make floor finals. And I just hit my routine, do the best that I can. And my routine was going really good. And then my last pass was like, I didn't fall, but like the deduction was just so large that it was like essentially falling. And I was like, wow, all right, that's two events that really just did not go as planned. And like, I'm like still like very nervous and like shaking. I'm like, oh, all right, we really need to like just take a step back, calm down, just finish up the rest of this meet as best as you can. And at that point, it is what it is. But to just keep pushing until the end. So then Palmworths and rings went by. They were fine. I started at that point to just feel a lot more comfortable competing. I just feel like that the first two events, my nerves were like really high, but then after going through a couple events and just really settling down, became a lot easier. And so I think that's kind of what helped me on vault. Um, when I did my second vault, I was like, this is the Yurchenko 2.5 actually was a newer vault for me because when I competed at Europeans, I only did one vault. I never had a second vault. And Eddie, my older brother, was the one that helped me relearn my Yurchenko. And so I'm very thankful for him for that. So right after Europeans, I started working this Yurchenko just in case, like, at Worlds, I can try to make event finals. And so I've only been doing this vault for a couple months. And so I was really thankful that at Europeans when I did my Uchenko 2.5 that I had stuck it at that moment, and I was like, okay, we'd have one event that we did that was very solid. Just P bars is our last event. It's not a great event for you. Just do it as clean as you can, and then we'll see how the results will like play out for the rest of the day. So that's kind of what happened for when I competed at Worlds. And then I waited for the rest of the day to see what the results were going to be, and I think that there were two more subdivisions. I think I was in the very first one. Um, and then by the end of the evening, I ended up making the top 8, even though I was ninth. There were 3 people from Team USA in the vault finals, but it's only 2 per country. And so I
Yeah.
was that ninth spot became the eighth spot. And so that's
Yeah.
how I ended up getting my quota, was by making the vault finals. And honestly, like I was saying, I did two and a halves. I did a Kaz 1.5. I did a Yurchenko 2.5 that I stuck. It wasn't like the strongest vaults in the whole meet, but I just happened to do them very clean, and that ended up being my ticket for Paris. So yeah, but like in essence, it was either through the all around finals or event finals, and I was hoping for floor if it wasn't for the all around, and floor just didn't happen, and I had a better chance on floor than I thought I would have on vault. So it ended up working out for me.
I mean, sometimes it's the apparatus that you're not actually like 100% like confident on that end up being the perfect ones for you. Like it's weird,
Exactly.
and sometimes it can happen at like any time. You can be like in a competition, like that's a weirdly high score.
Exactly.
What was that build up like for the Worlds, knowing that Olympic qualification was on the line?
Like in terms of training, like after when I
In terms of training before well after Europeans before Worlds.
okay, so at that I mean, so after the Europeans, I was like, okay, well, we've qualified. All right, that's fantastic, but definitely needed a little bit more international experience. Like I just needed to compete a little bit more. And so after the Europeans, I did the Varna World Cup. I did the Croatian World Cup, and they were like in May and June. So I was able to. I was grateful that I had the opportunity to compete internationally again. Um, Obviously in a smaller competition setting, but still competing, being out there, um, getting judged by different people, and things like that. So that definitely helped. I definitely needed competition experience, because it's one thing to train at home because everyone's comfortable in their gym. Everyone can hit their routines, like, but it's very different going out there and competing. And so that's what I needed. And so um, after those 2 World Cups, I came back home to America, and then I really was training every single day in my gym, and just keeping track of my progress and the days that I was doing routines. I would judge my routines, and I would just mark them like this was my all around score for today, and that would be like
Yeah.
on Tuesday and Fridays, and I was doing those the all arounds, or I was doing routines on all 6 events on Tuesdays and Fridays, and so I was doing that for June, the rest of June, like halfway through June to the end of June. Did it for July, and then I did it for a few weeks in August before I went back to Bulgaria. And at that point, I was like getting a lot more comfortable with the routines that I had put together. Um, I was really cleaning up my landings and just my elements on all the apparatuses. Um, and yeah, before Worlds, I thought it was going to be important to do another competition, because like June was the last time that I competed, and I wasn't trying to go at the end of September to compete at Worlds without having like at least another competition beforehand. And so we ended up going to Mersin in Turkey. I did a World Cup there, um, and then I did another World Cup in Hungary. So that was really nice that I was able to do both of those World Cups, and instead of like focusing on a few events, I did like 4 and 5 events, so that I can get like that experience of competing and doing almost all 6 events right before European Championship, or before the World Championship. So definitely needed the competition experience, and then just getting in routine reps and back at home leading up to World Championships. So yeah, that was kind of like my
Nice.
process.
Was it similar before the Olympics then?
Yes, minus like the World Cup. So it was like right after European Championships in Italy, I was grinding every single day to like perfect my goal at the Olympics, it wasn't like anything but to make like the floor finals at that point, because like floor became my strongest event. I had the highest start value out of all the other events that I had. Um, Floor and vault were my two goals to try to make the event finals on, but primarily floor because that I just felt like I excelled on floor um, throughout the year and a half when I was competing for Bulgaria. Um, and so when I came back, yes, I was trying to make every event as clean as I can do to try to get a really good all around score for myself, but ultimately to try to make the floor finals. And so I was spending a large amount of my time um, working my floor landings, going back to basics, and just cleaning it up and doing the best that I can. And I was very close. I was very close to make the floor finals. I think I went overtime on floor, and my dismount wasn't like the greatest. Like it was a 310 hop, and I feel like if one of those were eliminated, either the time, which I didn't even hear the bell that was like rung, or if I had done a better dismount instead of like a 310 and maybe done a one or had stuck it, I think I could have made the floor finals. But when I look back at it, I was like, this is my highest score that I've had on floor since I started competing for Bulgaria. And like when I first started competing, I just did not expect how the judges, how strict they were on this apparatus. And it took me so long to like get my routine consistent, compete internationally, and just clean it up every single time. And so when I look back at it, I was like, okay, well, I didn't make the floor finals, but that was the best routine I that I possibly have done. And so I was like, okay, you know what, that was good. So I was content with that. But yeah, no, the training was pretty hefty from May till July when I was back at home. I do most of my training here in New York, but um, if there are competitions in Europe, I definitely go to Bulgaria like a couple weeks beforehand, just to adjust to the time difference and compete a couple of times at a World Cup or two before a big event.
How does it actually feel to call yourself an Olympian?
It feels like a dream come true. It really does. I mean, this is something that was a goal of mine since I began gymnastics, and to be able to call yourself an Olympian just feels amazing. All the hard work has been paid off, and you just have to believe in yourself, and things will work out.
So, what was that Olympic experience like? How did it compare to any other competitions you've had before?
It was definitely the most challenging yet rewarding experiences of my life, I would say. I mean, just everything about it, like from the moment we get there, you have the police escort from the airport to the Olympic Village, and it just felt like you really did it. Like you really made it here. Um, this is something I've never experienced before. Like this at this level. Um, but I enjoyed every moment of it. It was a little chaotic at first, like very disorganized, but and it was a little stressful and like overwhelming, like in terms of the bus schedules. Like when we first got there, like it was a mess. But after a couple days, things smoothed out. There was no AC at the Olympic Village, and that was rough. That was rough. Like imagine like right now,
So
like can
hot as
you imagine
well.
right now where you're at
It's
and
so
there's
hot as
no
well.
AC? Like that's it was bad.
There isn't AC. There isn't AC in this
Oh
house. So,
no. It's,
like, the thing is, Britain doesn't get that hot.
yeah.
So, like, they don't think to put AC in anywhere other than cars. And my AC in my car don't
Oh
work. So,
dang, I didn't know that.
yeah, it's not thought about. Like, we think about heating because winter is cold, but
Yeah.
yeah, summer isn't really, because it doesn't get to 30 a lot, but when it gets to 30, no,
Yeah, right, right,
Celsius,
right,
I
right.
should say, not Fahrenheit, obviously.
No, that's interesting. I didn't know that. And yeah, no, I was not a fan of it. Like just it was like, being in your room is like your place to like just relax, stress free in a comfortable environment.
Yeah,
In addition to those cardboard beds, man, that was just it was not it. But anyways,
was it not comfortable?
no, they weren't. They really weren't. But I was like exhausted because like you just are constantly doing stuff
Mm,
throughout the day. So by the time the night came around, you're just are so tired. So for me, I was able to just sleep. But yeah,
mm.
no, I mean everything about it was very cool. I didn't get an opportunity to like really meet other athletes and things like that. Definitely a lot of gymnasts that I knew I saw there, so I was able to like hang out with them. Um, but yeah, no, overall it was very very fun. Um, the opening ceremony too was also very cool and different, than the past
Were you
I
on the
was
boat?
on the boat. The thing is,
That's
I
sick.
was debating on whether or not to go, but because I was competing in the last subdivision, like I, we went walking, so like it wasn't gonna like cost me energy, for the next day, because like to walk 3 hours, 4 hours, whatever, and then go and compete next day, like
Mm,
that's gonna be rough. But I was in the last
yeah,
subdivision, and we were sitting on a boat, so like there was no energy that like that I was using. So
yeah, yeah.
and I'm
Not
like,
bad.
this is my first Olympic Games. Like I want to experience absolutely everything. Um, and so
Yeah, of
yeah,
course.
we were on the boat. Um, halfway through the boat ride, it started pouring rain, and it was like it was rough. But like I was like, you know what? Like I don't care. This is insane. Like I'm getting to see Paris a little bit. Like I'm part of this Olympic ceremony. Like you know what? It can rain if it wants to, but um,
Yeah.
no, that was for me. I feel like being in the opening ceremony for me was like I feel like that realization was a lot stronger that like I made it to the Olympics than competing the next day. If that makes sense.
I suppose when you're competing, you're thinking about competing. You're not thinking about the venue and like the grand scheme of things. I suppose
Right.
like you're not thinking about how important or how big it is. You think about that sort of afterwards. I suppose. Um, like when because you're trying to like really focus in on what you're doing, but like the opening ceremony is like it's one of the most watched parts of the Olympics, and it's like one of the most iconic parts of the Olympics. So I suppose it makes
Yeah.
sense.
I was gonna say. I mean, when I stepped out into the arena, I knew what to expect at that point. Like I've done 2 times the European Championships. I've done Worlds, so I was like, okay, I know what to expect now. Really, like that opening ceremony was like the biggest like moment for me. But it also feels a little different, going there as an individualist because like it feels like you're going to like one of these European Championships or you're going to Worlds and like you don't have like your team behind you. So from that aspect, it was also another like different feeling of going there and competing like for your country and like also by yourself. So
Mm.
um but I had my family there. I had my friends, everyone there to support me, so that made everything a lot more comfortable and enjoyable. And definitely it was an awesome competition that night. I mean, there was a lot of good gymnastics, and the energy was high, and so I had a great time competing there.
Yeah, absolutely. I can only imagine. Would you say it's difficult? It was difficult because you didn't have the team behind you. Like, was it harder than other competitions when you do, or was it just a different experience?
I think it's a different experience. I mean, I feel like yeah, I was a little nervous at first because like I'm going out there by myself. The only other time that happened was at Worlds. I mean, I did have my one teammate with me, which kind of like made things feel a little bit better. But when you're going out, I mean, especially at the Olympics, you're going out there by yourself, and you're just you rep. It's like like all eyes on you from like your country. It's like oh okay, you're the only one from your country that qualified. Like there's like that expectation to it. And it was like definitely a little bit I had a little bit of nerves, but then really got more comfortable. Like when I was saying earlier about doing more competitions, getting those reps in, got really I got a lot more comfortable competing. And so for me, I was able to like relax a lot easier and quicker and just adjust to the environment than I did like a year ago from that moment. And so yeah, I mean like the first event, my vault was one of my strongest events that I started on. I was a little nervous there, but after that, I really began to just enjoy the moment. And plus, there was this one other Korean gymnast that was in my group who was like just like always smiling, like having a good time. And I was like, okay, you know what? Like after two or three events, I was like, I almost felt like we were teammates at that point because like we were just enjoying it. We were just like, smiling, we were laughing, we were having a good time. Like, and at that point, it felt like I said, like we were like just bonding like as if we were teammates. So that definitely helped the overall like competition experience become like less stressful and a lot more enjoyable. So yeah, if that makes sense.
I've never been in a competition where the entire group that I'm going around with hasn't cheered for me, and I haven't cheered for them during their competitions, because like it's just sort of expected at that point.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
As mentioned, you've become like known for your floor and vault work. What would you say makes you so good on those apparatus? And are there any other apparatus that you'd say you either specialize in now or would like to specialize in?
I would say that, like I said, when I first started gymnastics, like I was born and like basically nurtured in my parents' gym. And so I feel like I was very energetic when I was a child, and I was always running around, bouncing on the trampoline, always doing like flips and tricks and things like that off the trampoline into the pit. And I feel like by doing that for so many years, I like developed a really good air awareness. And so that was able to translate quite well on floor and on vault. I was just waiting for the right moment that like I was like to peak, like to get a little bit more stronger, so that I was able to like do a little bit more like power like tumbling, if that makes sense. Um, and so I just feel like by being in the gym all the time and by bouncing on the trampoline, I was able to translate those air awareness skills to floor and actually to all the events. Honestly, like events like P bars, in rings, in high bar, where I really didn't excel that much, but I was able to do like a more difficult dismount because I had that air awareness to be able to flip in that way. So definitely, that's where I feel like my passion and my strengths came from, just on floor and vault, just by or just by bouncing on the trampoline and just having fun. And like when I was younger, it's like start off like doing one flip, and then like as you get more comfortable, it's like two flips, and it's like two flips with like a twist, and then you and so forth. So that's where I think my abilities came from, and also having my older brother as like a really good coach and mentor. Eddie was and still is like very good with his technique on vault. Um, and so he's helped me a lot. He also was one that helped me learn my half on double full and vault. So that was like my next like upgrade on that event, because I wanted to do a little bit more of a difficult vault, and I couldn't get that 5-6 vault, 5-6 like the triple full at the time. And so having an older brother who was very experienced also helped me, with the technique involved, and being and having that air awareness too, and having someone who's really gone through it on that event, like really did help me be able to do what I was able to do on vault.
Yeah, spatial awareness is like incredibly important on almost every apparatus. The only one I'd say maybe not is pommel,
Yeah.
but like yeah, floor and vault especially, high bar to an extent as well. Not just on the dismount, but also on your like releases and
Yeah.
stuff, depending on how high you're going with the releases, obviously. Um, but yeah, would you say, just back on to the other point about you saying that you were, did you try working the triple twist, and is that improved now? Are you going to be
I
pushing for
don't,
that?
I going back to that previous question that you asked about my training leading up to Paris, I was not only was floor a priority, but I was trying to push the cos double. because at that point I had the half on double full, which started from a 5.4. So I was like, okay, I have one event that's, or I have one vault that's a little bit stronger in start value than just a 5.2, because like that's not going to cut
Yeah.
it at the Olympics when everyone's doing a lot more difficult vaults than me. So I was like, all right,
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
what? We have the 5.4, but one of these has to be a 5.6. Like it just, that's what it has to be. And I was training
Yeah.
the cos double, and I was getting so close. And I was training on an AEI table, and I knew the Olympics was going to be on Gym Nova. And honestly, I'm not a fan of Gym Nova because like the first Europeans that I competed in Antalya, it was on Gym Nova. You know, at Worlds, I was able to make the vault finals, okay, but going forward, like that might not be enough. And I was able to do the half on double full. Um, what was it, in Croatia before the European Championships last year in Italy. So that was like a
Yeah.
step forward in the right direction. I was like, okay, well now we have one vault that's like a little bit, a little bit stronger than average, but still isn't enough.
Mm.
I think maybe a 5.6 and a 5.4 would be all right. And so with my strengths on floor, being able to like twist super fast, I felt like this could translate well in vault, and so I started to really grind the cos double when I came back from Europeans last year, and that was like my main focus on vault. Um, and then floor was just to clean up as much as I can. Same with the other events, and I got pretty close to being able to do it. And I was training on an AI table, which was nice because that was like a little bit more. It mimics a little bit more of the Gym Nova style because like speed vault table is a little bit more like bouncier and like flexible. But when I competed
Yeah.
at my first Europeans, all the equipment was on Gym Nova, and honestly, I did not like the Gym Nova vault table. It was like way too hard for me. I couldn't figure out like a good block on the Kaz entry, but for Yurchenko was fine. Um, and so I was training the triple. I had the mats in the pit when I was vaulting like leveled, and I was landing it. And then when I went to Bulgaria, to train there for like a week before going to Paris. I was trying it a couple times on the Gym Nova vault table into the pit with the mats, and I couldn't do it. I tried, and I could not land it, and it was a little bit of a letdown because I really I spent like 2 months, 2.5 months really trying to get this vault down, and I couldn't figure it out on the Gym Nova table. Like I don't even want to blame the equipment, but I couldn't figure it out. Um, yeah, no, I ended up doing a 2.5, and I got really comfortable with the 2.5. It was like way too aggressive, way too high. Couldn't control the landing at the Olympics. So I'm like, okay, well, yeah, I don't know. But I'm trying to train it again. Hopefully, I can get it for Worlds in October. But if not, again, it's totally fine. But it would be nice to be able to compete on a little bit more of a difficult vault to really not just like for me, but like to compete against other people that are doing a lot more difficult vaults than I can do. So
Yeah. Yeah. I think the standard for vault is like shot up like through the roof.
well,
Like
absolutely.
people, it's insane now because like you just had to put 2.56s on your feet before, and now 2.56s like stuck dead are like, well, 2.52s now I suppose
Yeah,
you call it, are like bare minimum almost. It's crazy.
for real.
Um, so yeah, are you working on any other upgrades to your vault, like half on 2.5?
Yeah, actually, I have. I that vault's also like so challenging, but like I feel like it's easier than the Cos double. I've done it a couple times into the pit with like a couple mats landed. But I don't know. I feel more comfortable going for a cos double in a competition than a half on Randy. I don't know. I just like I feel I don't know. Half on Randy is difficult, but like you can like pull around. But I feel like with a cos, if you have a good block and you can twist, like even if it's a little short, it's fine. But like half on Randy is like it's a difficult vault, even though it's probably one of the closed vaults that I've seen. I do train it because it does help with just the half on double full itself. Always training like a little bit more of a twist into a pit, whatever. definitely helps like the vault that you're actually going to compete. So like, you're working the cos double would help with the cos 1.5. The Yuchenko 2.5. I was doing like Yuchenko triples and it was helping with the 2.5. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I still train those vaults because I do enjoy like a challenge and like training them because they're fun to do. But yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Do a half on triple to work on the half on two
Oh
and a half.
yeah, there was someone I think last year when my brother was competing at the World Cup series to qualify for the Olympic
Mm.
Games. I think it was last year. Someone from China did like a half on Randy, and like I haven't seen someone do a half on Randy. Like I mean, I haven't seen it. I didn't watch it personally, but I saw that someone competed it. I thought it was really cool because like most people when they do a hard vault, they're either doing Dragulescu, they're doing triple full, or they're doing Franz and Randy. But like not many people are doing half on Randys.
Dominic Cunningham, who's one of the guys from my gym,
Yeah.
and obviously has a legacy behind him. He's really good at half ons,
Oh yeah.
really, really good. Yeah, I mean, he's competed doubles like loads and loads of times. I can't remember if he's done 2.5, but I've definitely seen him working it, and like he gets such a good block off the vault, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But
He's
yeah, he's definitely someone to look at if you want to look at half ons. So obviously, you went to the Europeans this year, and you placed fifth in the floor final. What was that experience like?
ooh. Um. So after this year, I mean, after the Olympics, again, wasn't too sure what I wanted to do. Um, didn't know if I was going to continue gymnastics or not, honestly, because I thought that was like a good finishing point. But just being in the gym every single day, I mean, my passion for the sport just keeps growing stronger every day. So, one thing led to another. And I really wanted to focus this year on a few events and not do the all around. I mean, I'm getting a little bit older, things are starting to hurt a little bit more. But really, my goal for this year was to compete on a few events, make the floor finals and ball finals at Europeans, and then for the rest of the events, just to help out the team, try to finish better than we did in the previous years. But for floor, again, I was training. My routine's a lot easier now with this new code. I was training a lot, just working my landings because like I didn't the old code I was doing 10 skills, 7 passes, and now I'm doing 8 skills and like 5 passes. So definitely, and my routine doesn't have that high of a start value, and so it's really important to optimize your execution. And so I was really working my landings and to clean up all these little details because like if I started from like a 6.5, I can afford to take steps here and there because like that's crazy to start from a 6.5 with 8 skills. But when you start from like a 5.4, 5.5, you don't have that much wiggle room. So like you got to be really like clean. And there's like European championships. I mean, like everyone's so good in Europe on floor. I mean, it's such a difficult competition, and so I knew what was expected. Like you need to hit your routine, and like not just hit it like okay, like no, you need to hit your routine if you want even a chance to make the floor final. So that was the expectation going forward, and I knew what I had to do. I just had to do it, and honestly, it was tough because we were when the draw came out, we found out we were in the first subdivision. Or we were like, damn, okay, we have to go in the morning. And then we found out that we started on floor, and I was like, okay, well, we have to do a floor routine at 10 a.m. I'm like, geez, like we're in the first subdivision, we got to do a floor routine at 10 a.m. We have to not only do a floor routine at 10 a.m., but we have to hit this routine so good. And so, leading up to Europeans, my brother and I, we were just getting up earlier than usual, so that we were like, when we went down to training at like 7:30, 8 a.m. in the morning, we weren't too like, exhausted. Like we've like already like just got our day going, if that makes sense. Um, but yeah, I mean, we started on floor, um, and I did my routine the way I've been training it in the gym. Maybe a little bit. It wasn't as clean as the routine that I did at the Varna World Cup like 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago before that. But either way, it was that was like kind of like the expectation that I had because my routines I just been doing them consistently and like improving them. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna do the best routine that I possibly can do at 10 a.m. and hopefully, I can make this floor final. And so I was really happy that I was able to get a 14. And so after our first subdivision, we had to like again, kind of like the world situation. We had to wait the whole entire day, and I feel like just waiting the whole day is a lot more stressful than going out there and competing, if that makes sense. Because like now it's like because there was no one there was no one in my subdivision that was like my competitor on floor other than my older brother. I mean, the next subdivision was Dogo Piat and no one else. But then the third subdivision was like Jake Jarman, Luke Whitehouse, Harry Hepworth, these Swiss guys, the Ukrainians. And I'm like, this is gonna be a battle. And so after the second subdivision, of course, Dogo Pia gets a 14-4. I get pushed down to second. Eddie gets pushed down to third. And then we went to go and watch the third subdivision. We were just watching the floor routines, and then at that point it started getting really stressful. And then it's like we all just started dropping, just dropping and dropping and dropping. And then I ended up leaving because like it just me and my brother left because like it was getting like too much at that point. We were like, oh, this is a lot to like handle right now. And then I think Christopher Mazzaros was like the last person to compete on floor, and I was just like watching the results, waiting to see like if I was gonna make the floor final or not. And then I ended up making the floor final after he did his routine. So I was really grateful that I was able to make my first apparatus final at Europeans, and you know, achieving that goal feels incredible. So I was really happy and thankful for that moment. Um, but when no, you're good, you're good. Oh, really? Maybe it's my end. Yeah, it is. And I did my upgraded routine. When I say upgraded, like I was training instead. My second pass is full double front. Okay, I was doing full double front tucked. That was my second pass. Um, but my what I wanted to do was upgrade my floor routine because since the skills dropped down from or the number of skills that we had per apparatus dropped down from 10 to 8, I was trying to optimize my floor routine start value, and I was training full double pike in my floor routine leading up to the Varna World Cup before Europeans. So I've been doing the full double front. Just even though it was 1/10 different, it wasn't really necessary. But at the same time, like I wanted to compete it because the full double pike had its benefits over the double front in terms of like the amount of deductions I received. Um, but my goal was to make the floor finals first and do the tucked at Europeans and then try it for the finals. But um, it just everyone at the finals were just falling on the same pass where
Yeah,
they
they
were
were
falling on the two and a
dropping
half
like
double front, and
flies,
and
honestly.
I it was bad. And then I was like, I didn't think about it, but like I was like, was this when I like look back at it now? I'm like, oh, should I have done the full double front instead of the double pike? Because like I didn't have doubts, even though I've not competed it. I didn't have doubts because in the podium training, I was landing it, and like the days leading up to it, I was landing the pass. So I had no doubt. And if anything, I was worried that I might go too hard and I might go like out of bounds. But I ended up sitting it down, and I was like, oh no,
Mm.
and it costed me. It really did cost me. So it was a little frustrating that that happened. But overall, it was a learning lesson. I just maybe next time don't try new I guess pass in the finals at
Yeah.
Europeans. So
Yeah, I mean, It's always nice to have a little bit of experience under your belt when you like trying a new skill. Like always nice to have done it at like a smaller competition or something. But sometimes you just got to go big or go home. And if that had been the reason you didn't medal, for example, then you would have been kicking yourself that you didn't do it in the first place. So you could look at it in both ways.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, what was the atmosphere like at the Euros this year, and how did it compare to Worlds, Olympics, all that sort of stuff? And then also to the like all the World Cups that you've done. How does it differ?
I feel like at this point I got so comfortable with competing. Like I just wasn't really nervous going forward for these competitions. So I was like, you know what, we're going out there, we're gonna do the best that we can do and see where the results take us. There's nothing to lose here. Like you've been training hard. There's nothing like like I'm not trying to like we're not trying to qualify for the Olympics. Now it's just the first year with the new code of points and just see how things are. Just go out there and get some more competition experience in there. But definitely felt like it was great, and also competing with my brother again because last year, he got injured towards the end of the year, unfortunately. But it felt great to be able to compete with my older brother again. So that was really cool, even though we're competing against each other for the same goals to make floor finals or vault finals in that sense. But it felt really good to be able to compete with him, and then just with my teammates from Bulgaria. No, it felt great. It felt great. I was less stressed. I was actually honestly more excited to compete at the Europeans because I felt like at this point like I've worked really hard. I've done this a couple times at this point. Like I know what to expect. Now it's like you have like a good chance of like making event finals. It wasn't like before like we'll see how you do and things like that. No, it's like if you do what you gotta like if you do what you do like in the gym, you're gonna make the event finals. And so that was kind of like my approach going forward for this competition. Plus, I was also excited to go to Germany because I've never been to Germany, so that was cool.
Very nice. Yeah, you reminded me when you were talking about your brother and the fact that you're both like floor workers, of course. I saw one of the World Cups, I think it was this year, that you and your brother both medaled on floor. How was that?
Yeah, that was cool. That was fun. So yeah, I mean, Varna World Cup. Like I said, I needed to do a World Cup before the Europeans because I haven't competed since Paris at that point. But yeah, the first day of qualifications, I was in first. Eddie was in second, and then when the finals came around, Eddie ended up winning. I ended up getting second. Made like a tiny mistake on my 2.5 front layout. I was like trying to correct myself to go straight because I kept going like to the side, and when I like tried to fix it, I like over rotated the 2.5, and like it messed me up. But whatever, I was really thankful that I was able to medal. But it was really cool. It's really exciting to have a brother, and both of you to medal in your home country, and you have your family there watching and supporting. So it was really cool. Definitely something I'll cherish. But yeah, no, it was very exciting to have an older brother be able to compete with you and both of you to just do really good. And
Is that the only World Cup you've done this year?
yeah, I did like the online series in December. That was like my first competition with the new code of points. I did that one, but yes, Varna World Cup was my first actual competition of this year. So
nice. If you're like me, you struggle with rips on your hands, seemingly at the worst possible times, like in a competition prep, for example. I'm proud to partner with Wad and Dunn, who have a solution for us gymnasts to help us train and protect our hands in the process. I especially recommend their rip guards for apparatus using grips or guards, whatever you want to call them, high bar, rings, or A-bars, and their 3-step hand care kit to make sure your halluses are strong and rip resistant without making them soft. Use my code PAL at checkout or my link in the description for 10% off at checkout. Now, back to the episode. Obviously, you messaged me following my London Open vault.
Gosh. When I saw your vault, I was like, no, I have to tell you because the vault the second day, So Kaz, I'm very comfortable with that vault. Like I can just warm up with a Kaz 1.5. Like I don't need to think about it. I just do it. Like I'm so familiar with this
Yep.
vault. The half on double full, it's like sometimes like you might need a couple of turns to adjust the table, to the lighting, whatever steps and all that
Yeah.
stuff. And I was more stressed for that
Yep.
vault than I was for the Kaz.
Yep.
So I salute the half on because that's my first vault. I landed it fine. All right, cool. I I go back and I didn't realize it at the time, but the tape measure on the side of the runway
Yeah.
was all like this, like all
Oh.
messed up. But I didn't think about it, and so I usually start at like 23 meters,
Mm.
and I started at 23 meters, but it was probably pushed like a
Yeah, it
meter
was. Yeah.
further. It was all messed up, and so I salute my vault and I start running. And I just feel like I was like, why the hell is this vault table a lot closer than what it is? Like, I don't know why it was like that. And then I hurdle and I missed the springboard. My feet slipped off of it, and I, with so much speed, I like flew over the table.
Over.
I flew over the table. It was like, dude, the judges just like they got up off their chair and they were just like, "Yo, no, 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 no!" It's like, chill, 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 chill. And I was like, I was so shocked. I was so shocked. I was like, this has never happened. This is like unprecedented. Like it's never happened before. I saluted to the judges.
Just like, yeah, I guess that's happened now.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. And then I walked it off, and I was like, that just happened. Like I was like, firstly, I'm thankful I didn't like roll my ankles. I'm like, I had to compete vault the next day, but it was it was a huge shock. Like I was like, that's never happened before. I'm like still processing that
Yeah,
happened.
I'm the exact same with my London Open vault. Like the thing is, I don't have an excuse as to the tape measure being like wonky or anything. Like I warmed up the vault, I was fine. I literally just, I don't know, steps were too long. I don't really know, but I wasn't
Yeah,
thinking about, again, never happened to me before in my life, but one foot slipped off the springboard and I just barreled into it. Like,
yeah, no, exactly what happened with me. And then everyone from that point on was fixing the tape measure, and I was like, good for you. Like honestly,
smashing it. Yeah, well done, mate. No, yeah, it was so bad because I also had two more pieces to go, and those were the two pieces that like I was really trying to focus on for like
yeah,
P-bar, high bar, like my two like specialties. So I had to like really like get my head back into it because I was in like shock after that because you're not expecting that to happen.
yeah. And it's like, what can you do?
Yeah, you just present to the vault to the judges and then just walk off, and it's like, okay, well, hope no one saw that. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Like I messaged you. Hopefully, that is just one of those things that happens once and never again.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it happened to a little bit different. Eddie, my older brother, competed. We competed in Hungary, in 2023, right before Worlds, and Eddie was going for. I think this was this was in the vault finals. The wrong springboard was put in for Eddie,
No,
and instead of the 8 springs, they put in the 5. And I was like, but why are we having why did we even have a 5 springboard? Like I don't think we are even
no, yeah,
allowed to
yeah.
use it according to FIG.
No one uses the faux spring.
Well, someone must have used it, and so it was put there by our coach. I'm not pointing fingers, but it was put there by our coach. And Eddie, when you run down for vault, you're going full speed, right? And he went full speed for his Yurchenko 2.5, and just like crashed into the table. Somehow managed to land a Yurchenko full. He was able to do Yurchenko full. I was like, what? And then when the Yurchenko guard was moved, I noticed that the springboard wasn't loaded
Oh
with
my
like
god.
all the springs, and so I was like yelling like from the distance. I was like to the coach. I was like, "No, you need to change the board. We need to change the board." So, yeah, I really hope that like what you said, things like that. It's a one-time
Yeah,
thing, and then just forget about
yeah. Hopefully, I mean, we all have things like that happen. So it's just say la
it.
vie. You move on. Is there a favorite routine that you performed in your career?
It was either the floor routine at the Olympics or the routine that I competed in floor and qualifications at the Varna World Cup. 'Cause I stuck like both of those routines. I stuck like 3 or 4 out of the 7 or 5 passes that I did. So it was like a um, very solid routine. So it was either those two competitions that I'd say was my favorite um, routines that I've performed.
Nice.
Yeah.
And what about like a favorite like standout moment in your career so far?
I think you know what was really funny, and I still laugh about it today. Was I won rings at the Croatian World Cup last year. I made the so I because it was the Olympic year,
Yeah.
I went to Croatia and I needed a couple I needed at least one competition before the European Championships in Rimini, and so I go there and I did everything minus P bars, everything minus P bars. No high bar finals, of course. Floor finals we made, vault finals we made. Actually, vault that was the first time that I competed the half on double full. I did half on Rudy the first day to try to make the vault finals, and then do the half on double full for the finals. Um, did pommel horse. No finals there. Even I was close though. I was like close. I think I came in like I don't know, maybe 10th or ninth, and it was like top 8 to make it. Um, And then rings, I was like the last person I made. Like I was top 8.
Yeah.
I was top 8, and then Ilya Kuftun left. Like when I say in the middle of the competition, I mean like he left in the middle of the competition to go to fly to Italy to do the Italian league there,
Oh, right.
and so yeah, he didn't come to compete for the finals for the last 3 events. He did the floor finals, like the first 3 events of the finals. He did those. Um, and then he left after that day to go and compete in Italy. And so I was like, do I really need to do rings like again? Because like I have shoulder problems, but like rings is like a decent event. Like I can do a couple straight planches and a tuck double double dismount. Like it's an average routine for someone who's an all around.
Yeah.
Like I'm not that strong to do like crazy things. And so I was like, okay, cool. I mean, like at this point, like just go out there and do it. Like who knows, like what can happen? Like this is more prize money, I guess. So I go and I do my routine, and like I scored like higher than what I did the first day, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then everyone else that was going, they were just like handstands like wobbling and like just like little mistakes like this, and I was like, no, this is not happening right now. Like first of all, like Ilya, obviously if he was there he would have won
Yeah.
it. But I it was so funny. Like I was like I was sitting in the chair because like you have like your first place, your second place, and your third place. I'm just sitting there, and like there's other people that are like doing stronger stuff than me, but like they either fell or they're just like did some like mistakes, like things like that happen in this sport. And I just sat there and I saw the last person compete, and I when I looked over at my coach, and he saw, and he just like held his head, and he was just like looking at me, and I was like, "There's no way that this happened right now." Like rings, like really rings. I thought for me, that was the funniest moment like ever, and I still laugh about it today. Like
Yeah, fair.
who would have thought that I would have won rings at a World Cup?
Fair enough. I mean, yeah, that is sick. That story reminds me a bit of what I imagine it could have been like at the Olympics on the high bar final, because like 6 out of 8 fell,
Yeah,
and then 2 of the people that fell came joint third, and then the 2 people that stayed on obviously got medals and also got the exact same score as each other, but like obviously one had higher execution, so one got gold, one got silver. Like it's like that is wild. And everyone was falling on their dismounts as well. Like 5 out of 8 fell on their dismount.
yeah. I don't know what was up with that hybrid there. It just wasn't it.
No idea. No idea.
Yeah.
So what are your main goals for this new Olympic cycle?
Honestly, to take it one day at a time and see where things go. I mean, when I started competing for Bulgaria, it was like I had all these goals that I wanted to achieve, like to make a final at a World Cup, to medal at a World Cup, to qualify for Worlds, to make event finals at Worlds, to go to the Olympics, things like that. now that I've done everything that I wanted to, I just want to take things, especially right now, just one day at a time and see where things go.
Mm.
But I mean, for right now, I think I just want to focus on Worlds and the World Cup before it, and go from there.
Which World Cup is
If
that?
that. Well, we're still deliberating between
I'm
Paris
sure Napoli.
and the Hungarian World Cup,
Yeah.
or to do both. But like I said, again, we do these World Cups as like one prep competition before like
Mm-hmm.
the big one,
Yeah.
the one that actually counts. I just want to take it one day at a time.
So, is there any advice that you would give to someone who is thinking about like changing nationality to compete for another country?
I mean, it's been happening recently. It's been happening from both boys and for girls, um, for whatever reasons. But I definitely recommend it. I mean, it's a new opportunity. Always try something new. I mean, that's keeps things interesting in life. Trying new things. I definitely would recommend it because you get to travel more, get to experience new cultures, new environments, meet new people. Um, and I definitely think that that's something someone should experience if they were truly wanting to switch nationalities. I mean, I'm all for it. Like, you never know what kind of opportunities may present themselves, and it's definitely fun and it's exciting and it's really moving. So I definitely would advise people if they have that option to do it, and if they don't, well, it's okay. But if they do have that option, by all means, I mean, do it. So,
Yeah.
what's that? Who was it recently? I think there was a kid from Oklahoma that in Oklahoma Collegiate Gymnastics program here,
Mm-hmm.
he represented Team USA, but now changed his nationalities to represent Spain. And I know Ilya Kufdun was representing Ukraine, and now he's doing Croatia. So if someone does have like that in their background, like if they're like, let's just say like they're from France but they compete for America, like if they wanted to make that transition, by all means go ahead and like you should, like
Yeah.
if you really are, like if you want to do it, I would recommend doing it.
Cool. That's good advice. Yeah, it will be weird seeing Ilya Kovtun competing for Croatia rather than Ukraine because he's been competing for Ukraine for God knows how long.
Yeah.
What is the one thing that you want to achieve in this sport, like above all else? It could be a competition, it could be just like a routine, it could be just doing a skill.
I think it would have been to have medaled at Europeans, because I feel like that's like a very realistic goal that I could have achieved, because I feel like Worlds and the Olympics, it's a lot more difficult. There's gymnasts who are a lot better than me on the floor, but anything can happen in this sport. Just like the vault finals for me. I mean, I didn't think I had strong enough vaults to even be a contender. But I think medaling at a European Championships on floor would be like my ultimate goal.
Cool. Nice. I like that. So, last question. Now that you've been on, now that you've experienced it, who do you think would be a good fit to come on next?
I would say my brother, but he just did one with what's his name?
Sam?
There's another. Yeah,
Sam.
yeah, yeah. Um, I saw you did Jamie. I've known Jamie for so long. I've known Jamie since we competed together in Japan. Oh, do you know who you should do? His name is Petar. He's from Serbia. Speaks English very good.
Cool.
He's a really good friend of mine. I think he would be a great person to have on for your podcast.
Thank you for coming on. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching the Game of Gymnastics podcast. I will catch you in the next one. Peace.